how to ascend into the house of God. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 1 says, Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth, therefore let thy words be few. One of the most common things that I see in today's time as we enter into the house of God is we find ourselves in a situation where a lot of times I'm afraid we are not ready to worship. Now, the Bible tells us in John 4 that God is a spirit, and they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. So that means that we have to worship in the spirit. But when we go down to the house of God, oftentimes we find ourselves with a multitude of other things on our minds and a multitude of things that we want to talk about. And as we go into the houses of God, and even into their freedom and wherever it may be, we find that for a lot of the purposes, it becomes a social event before the service starts. And a lot of times, if we're not very careful, as soon as the service is over with, everybody wants to run off and go home because they are not willing to stay very long. But the Bible says, Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. Now, I believe in good fellowship, and there's nothing wrong with good fellowship, but being able to worship in the Spirit is not something that you just turn the light switch on. And it takes being prayed up, being ready, being focused, and being having our heart prepared to worship Him. And oftentimes we're not able to do that if our mind is on everything else in the world and what's going on. So as we enter into the houses of God and tonight and this Sunday and the Sunday after, let's be focused on what the writer here in Ecclesiastes 5:1 says, that when we go to the house of God, be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. So in other words, when we go to the house of God, let's go ready, let's go prepared, and let's worship. May God bless you.